Shanti, how are you all? Today we are going to answer the question: is Mahavatar Babaji still alive? Because it is widely believed that he's been living for the past 2000 years. So he has become more popular after this book called The Life of a Yogi by Paramahamsa. But many people, including Annie Besant, reported that they saw Mahavatar they saw him as a 17-year-old boy. So they believe that he has stopped aging and he has escaped death. And some people say that he taught Kriya Yoga to some of those who went to Himalayas, and that is why this Kriya Yoga is very famous throughout the world. So we will be discovering about all the secrets about Kriya Yoga in our next video, but in this video we will talk about whether or not Mahavatar is still alive. Is it possible for anybody to escape death for 2000 years or more? Because if it is true that Mahavatar Babaji or Maharaja Baba, so he is called by different names and they are not his original names, because nobody knows what his original name is, because all the names they give him, they all actually belong to God Shiva, because only God Shiva can be called Baba, which means the Divine Father. Only God Shiva can be called Mahavatar, because only gods take reincarnation or incarnation. So we've been giving the names of God Shiva to Mahavatar Babaji, and this makes us to have a guess whether it is God Shiva himself who takes the form of Mahavatar Babaji and appears before his disciples, because only those who are in thirst of spiritual knowledge, only they had the visions of Mahavatar Babaji. He doesn't appear before everybody, because if it is possible, then we can actually ask him that. But it is believed that Mahavatar Babaji decides to whom he should appear and what he should speak to them. So if Mahavatar Babaji is able to survive for the past 2000 years, then it would also be true that Jesus Christ came alive after death. And also in South India, they represent a group of devotional people called Siddhas, and they still believe that all Siddhas, they have conquered death and they are still alive, only that they can't be visible to our naked eyes without their permission. So there is no way to prove or disprove that they are still alive, because they say they can't be seen by everybody, but they also say that they are seen by somebody. So now we are going to unravel the truth about it. So people do have visions of Hindu gods and goddesses. Some do have visions of Mahavishnu. People like Ramakrishna, they have visions of Mahakali, and nobody discusses about whether or not Kali and Mahavishnu are still alive, because they call them God. So the reason that Mahavatar Babaji is so famous is because he is not a god, but he is still alive. So what people make out of this is a man can reach the divine state through this Kriya Yoga. He is an ordinary man. He reached that state through this Kriya Yoga, and which is why people want to follow Kriya Yoga, and they want to conquer death, no matter whatever it takes for them to conquer death in the end. It is true that the whole world look up on India for the spiritual knowledge. It is true that true knowledge comes out of India, but it is also true that not all knowledge that comes out of India is true. So nobody knows where the truth hides. So they start searching for it. They follow certain gurus, and after a while, after finding a better guru, they will just leave that guru and shift to another guru. Sometimes they will fall back to their religion, and they will start calling these gurus as a part of satanic power, because for the Westerners, there could be only two types of miracles, one by Jesus Christ and another by Satan. Once they start believing Jesus Christ, they consider all the miracles that they witnessed till then to be of Satan. Not only the visions of Jesus Christ and Mahavatar Babaji, people do get visions of their loved ones after their death. So there's a single reason why all these things happen to us, because not everybody can see the dead ones. Only those who are closely related to the dead ones, only they can see them. So what's the secret behind this? Who is doing these things? Even now people do have visions of Jesus Christ and Virgin Mary throughout the world, but not everybody gets that. And there are certain miracles that everybody can witness, like in all religions, in their places of worship, they will see some strange secretions, oily secretions coming out of their idols. So that makes one to have strong faith in their religions. And who is it that's doing that? Because if Mahavatar Babaji appears before you, then you conclude that he is still alive. But when these oily secretions emerge out of nowhere, what can you conclude from that? But all these things happen for the same reason, because there is something out there that wants to communicate to humans that there is something out of that cannot be reached through your mind. You got to wait until it reveals itself. But since we do not know what it is, we jump into conclusions like what we see is it actually exists there, and we got some miraculous power, or we are someone who is very close to those deities, which is why they love us and they decided to appear before us. But that's not the truth, because no man in the entire history of this earth have lived more than 200 years. So the maximum lifespan of a human being is 150 years. So that's the average. So nobody has ever lived more than 200 years. So it obviously means Mahavatar Babaji is not alive, but still people say they saw him. So what does that mean? Even most of the scientific discoveries, they are not true. I'm not saying that all scientific discoveries are false, but not all scientific discoveries are true. The reason is they always try to do some experiment after having a preconceived opinion on something, and they wanted to prove it. It is the amount of faith that they have on that idea or belief that makes them see as if it were true, but it doesn't mean it is true. The same thing happens when people go in search of acquiring some divine power in Himalayas. They start encountering these visions. So it is not necessary that the vision of Babaji each one had will be the same. If 4 people have visions of Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji, then it is quite possible that all these 4 men, they had entirely different visions. It doesn't match with what the others say. So it is based on what preconceived image they had or they wanted to see. That is what they saw. Let me disclose a real life example. One of my friends, he is a strong devotee of God Shiva, and he was meditating for hours with his eyes closed. He was meditating on God Shiva, and when he opened his eyes, he was shocked to see the real God Shiva sitting before him with snakes around his neck, and he was really shocked. He was very afraid that he closed his eyes very soon. So does it mean God Shiva came there? No. So if someone has that much passion, then it will happen for them. Not that they will see God, but they will be convinced with the visions that they actually saw God. So it's more like a dream. In dream, it looks as if it is real for you, but sometimes you will have dreams about the dead ones. You know for sure that they are dead, but in dream it looks as if they are still alive. The same thing happened with the disciples of Jesus Christ, who had visions of Jesus Christ after his death, because they strongly believed that he was God and they would see him as he promised. So that is why they had the visions. It doesn't mean he came after his death. He didn't come alive, and this Mahavatar Babaji is not alive, and nobody knows anything about him because the name itself is not true. Since they do not know of his name, how can they know about his background? How can they know that he lived 2000 years back? Because the people, on hearing Mahavatar Babaji speak to them, only out of that they decided that he is 2000 years old, or else nobody knows if he actually existed or not. But these miracles happen because people, they are so thirsty of learning yoga, especially hatha yoga, and that is why they go to the secluded places like that of Himalayas, and they want to meditate for hours, thinking that they could see something extraordinary. So anyway, they will have some kind of aim before they start meditating. So and it is God who fulfills their aim. So how does he do that? Just by showing visions, because that is what they expected. They didn't ask for money or anything. They'll get satisfied just by having visions, but in reality you don't benefit anything out of getting visions, because we know of many saints who had visions of Mahakali and Mahavishnu and many other Hindu deities, but still they all died out of some chronic diseases, which means that having vision is not going to improve their health or their mentality in any way. Just like a child pesters his father to buy him something, similarly we pester God to grant us some kind of vision, so that we can be convinced that there is God, and that is why it is happening. But it doesn't mean whom we see in visions actually came there. No, they won't come there, because if he has come there, then he wouldn't have disappeared, right? So the same applies to Jesus Christ or the South Indian Siddhas or Jesus Christ or Mahavatar Babaji or whoever it is. So whether or not Mahavatar Babaji did exist in the past, so that is something we can never find answer for. But whether or not somebody has lived for so long, the answer is definitely no. There's no way that anybody could have existed this long. So people think there are many bodies, especially the people of yoga. They say it is only this physical body that has limited lifespan, but we, in addition to have this physical body, we also have many other bodies that are spiritual in nature, like subtle body, mental body, light body, and so on. So they think by doing certain yoga techniques we can transform our physical body into another body so that we can live forever. And people, they are naturally afraid of death and they want to attain something, so that they can live at peace. So they wanted to escape from the actual cravings of human body, like hunger, lust, and so on. So they think they can escape these cravings by transforming our physical body into our spiritual bodies, which is why they fall for this. But in reality it is totally impossible. If someone leaves the body now, in that very second he will take another body by entering a womb of another mother, which means he will take rebirth in the very second he leaves one body. So it is impossible for anybody to live that long. But does it mean that ghosts do not exist? Well, ghosts, they do exist. Ghosts represent the souls after leaving the physical body. For some strange reason, they don't get a new body for a temporary period. It is not going to be permanent. So for a temporary period, they will just wander with its subtle body. Yes, it is true, subtle body exists. So the subtle body, it will be the same as the body when they die. So usually they will seen wearing the dress that they last wore, but it doesn't mean they are alive. Well, they are wandering as ghosts, but it is not the physical body. But it won't be, it will be very short usually, unless they have some very intense passion for something more of lust or attachment. Then it is possible that they would wander for a very long time till they get another body, because they want to satisfy their lust or any other desire. That is why they wander here. So we can only it is impossible for anybody to escape death, but we can escape from wandering as ghost. That is, we can take another body as soon as we leave this body. That is only we can do. How is that possible? By completely removing attachment on anything, on anybody. And only when you do that, you can escape from wandering as ghost. But does it help us escape from taking rebirth? It's impossible. Nobody can escape rebirth. The only one who doesn't enter this birth and death cycle is God. Other than him, everybody has to enter this birth and death cycle. Whether it is Jesus Christ, whether it is Sri Krishna, they all have to enter this birth and death cycle. So you can understand it very easily by seeing this picture. This is a 5000 year time cycle of this world. This world was heaven in the beginning for the first 2500 years. The same heaven becomes hell in the next 2500 years. So that's the total lifespan of this human life cycle. So this is basically the birth and death cycle. So in the last 100 years, God himself comes from his place of residence called the soul world or Parandam or Parlok. That is where God resides all the time, and it is the golden red colored light world. In fact, it is the same place where we souls also resided with God in the beginning, and that is where we will be reaching in the end of this kalpa, because this 5000 year time cycle is called a single kalpa, and the significance of this kalpa is whatever happens in one kalpa, it keeps repeating kalpa after kalpa. To understand it very easily, if you are watching this video now, it obviously means that you watched the same video 5000 years back on the very same day, and you will be watching this video over and over again in the past, in the upcoming kalpas on the very same day. So it is that accurate. So God comes here to reveal uh, what happened in the past, and what is the reason that we suffer in the present, and what is going to happen in the future. God says whatever happened in the past, it will be your future. So we were initially deities because the world was heaven in the beginning, and it was filled with the golden and the diamond jewels. Even the stones were made out of gold. So we were so rich. A part of India was heaven, and the rest of the world would be immersed under the ocean. So it was heaven for the first 2500 years, and we would be filled with the divine characters. We would not be angry or lustful as we are now. It is because of these five vices, that is lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego, that we suffer punishment that we experience today. But in the beginning, nobody who existed there have no idea what lust is, what anger is, what greed, attachment or ego is. So they had this enormous power of their mind. Whatever they think, they can make it happen in that very instant. So that was the power of their thoughts, and the reason they had that power is because they were free of these five vices. And how's that possible? That's possible because they did not consider themselves to be this perishable body. Instead, they considered themselves to be the imperishable soul that exists as a tiny point of light, like a star that shines in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus till date they have this habit of wearing a red dot or bindi in between their eyebrows. They do not know of it, but still that's the reason. So they considered themselves to be this point of light while they were interacting with somebody, and no matter how beautiful someone who they are talking with is, they will still not be attracted towards their beauty, because they are totally aware of the fact that they were indeed the tiny point in between their eyebrows, and they will see in between the eyebrows while they were communicating, which is why they didn't fall for their beauty. So they were free from lust, anger, greed, attachment, which is why they had this enormous power. But what happens after the completion of first 2500 years is they forget gradually that they are souls. Instead, they started to consider themselves to be this body, which is why they become slaves for the bodily feelings like lust, anger, greed, attachment, which is why they are punished, because these five vices are called sins in all religions, and we didn't know that, which is why we have been accumulating sin after sin in birth after birth. Towards the end, God comes to rescue us from experiencing any more punishments by revealing this fact that it is these five vices that has been causing you a lot of pain in terms of nature or relations or so on. So the only way to escape out of it is to come out of this body consciousness and to have the soul consciousness back again. How do we do that? We have to constantly remind ourselves that we are this imperishable soul. It is this soul who I am. It is the soul that sees through these eyes. It is the soul that listens through these ears. It is the soul that thinks. It is the soul that operates this body. It is the soul that performs everything through this body. This body is just an instrument. With this awareness, you can eventually conquer all these vices, especially the lust, because that's the number one enemy that's been causing so much pain to all human beings of the world. So we have to conquer those vices, and we as such have lost that power to conquer those vices. So the only way to regain that power is to first consider ourselves to be the souls, and then to connect our mind to the supreme soul, who is God Shiva. So the name of the god is Shiva, and there is only one God, because it is the same God Shiva who is called Allah by Muslims, and it is the same God Shiva who is called the Supreme Father by Christians. So apart from him, everybody is a human. They may be great, but still they are humans. Humans cannot show you the path to heaven. Only God can, and that is why God comes just before the establishment of heaven. But the religious preachers, they came in the middle because they wanted to establish a religion or not heaven. All religious preachers came in the hell, because that is when we are in need of some advice. But in heaven we do not need any advice, because we were not slaves for the lust, because of which we didn't suffer any pain. We were ever happy, ever wealthy, ever blissful, and ever peaceful in heaven. And we are going to acquire the same thing very soon, and it is possible only by following God's teachings. What does he teach? It's very simple. The essence of his teaching is to consider ourselves to be the soul and constantly remember God, because that's the only way to burn away all our past sins. How do we know that our sins are burnt? Well, the more time you remember God Shiva, the more you will see you are getting detached from all these 5 vices, and you will start experiencing the inner happiness, blissfulness throughout the day. So this is the sign that our sins are burnt away. So you will also have a very nice sensation in between your eyebrows, like a slight trembling or a minor shock, which means the soul is actually receiving power from the God, the master of all powers. So this is the true yoga taught directly by God now. So but everything that happens in one kalpa, that keeps happening kalpa after kalpa, and God's part comes only in the end. He doesn't come in the middle. He doesn't enter Jesus Christ's body or Muhammad Nabi's body or Buddha's body or nobody's. He comes only in the end, because it is only then his part is needed. So till then only humans came and they started preaching. No matter how attractive it looks like, it will eventually lead you to the sorrow and painful life, because humans do not know how to rescue other humans. It is only God who knows this knowledge, and he gives this knowledge in the end. But in heaven there won't be any religions, because we won't be suffering. We will be very happy. So we don't even bother to think about God, because we think about God only when we suffer, right? So there won't be any religion, there won't be any religious scriptures, there won't be any religious worship places like temple, churches or mosques. So it is only in hell we started writing religious scriptures and start building places of worship, everything. What happens is, since God cannot come in the middle, the drama is destined in a manner that if someone believes anything very strongly, they will achieve it, or they will be convinced that what they believed is true. For example, if I think Jesus Christ is God, and if I start meditating on him for 24 hours without taking food or water, then to strengthen my faith, I will get visions of Jesus Christ, or I will start listening to the voice of Jesus Christ. It need not be his original voice, but still I should be convinced, because that's how God loves us. It doesn't matter, because God knows Jesus can't be God, or Sri Krishna can't be God, and he doesn't say that it is only he is God while we were praying, because that was not his time, so he wouldn't come. But this drama is destined in that manner, that whatever you believe, you will get visions of them, so that you will receive happiness for a temporary period of time. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not going to have any more benefit for you, because that's not going to cure your diseases, that's not going to pay your debts, that's not going to rescue you from any of your sufferings. So likewise, if someone thinks that they will definitely get some visions, or they will see some divine beings while they meditate, or while they go to Himalayas, it depends on the faith they had for several births. So they may not get visions soon after meditating. If they had been doing this for many births, at one point of time they will get visions of that, even without working for it, because that is why God says in Bhagavad Gita that you are the souls and not this perishable body, because it looks as if we failed in our spiritual endeavor in one birth, but we don't fail. We will definitely reap the benefit of it in one of the upcoming births, but still that's actually not going to be of any benefit for us. So just we longed for it, so that we got it, that's it. But it will take some time, some births. So it all depends on how sincere or how faithful you were in that spiritual path, no matter what religion you belong to. If you think Muhammad is the God, usually people don't think like that, but if you think that Muhammad is God and if you start meditating on him, you will definitely see him. But that vision may not match with the original Muhammad, but still that's going to be the vision you want or you imagine Muhammad to be. Likewise, Jesus Christ, the disciples of Jesus Christ, they had the vision of Jesus Christ because they strongly believed Jesus to be the God, and they were convinced by Jesus while he was alive that he would come out of death. So that is why they had this vision. Not everybody believed Jesus Christ, which is why not everybody had this vision. So that's it for now. So what we say is 100% true, because the knowledge we share through all of our videos are given directly by God and not by humans. Humans can never give 100% truth. God can never give even 1% false, because he himself is the embodiment of truth. Only God is truth. The saying God is truth implies that everybody else's knowledge is indeed false. Om Shanti. To get more knowledge, keep watching these videos, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, and also click on that notification bell so that you will be notified of our future videos, and keep sharing these videos to your friends and relatives of all religions and faiths so they can be spiritually awakened to reality. Thanks for watching. And it is available in this knowledge is called Murli, and it is taught free of cost in all Raja Yoga meditation centers that is spread across the globe. It is totally free of cost, and to locate the Raja Yoga meditation center in your area, in your country, you can Google it, or you can seek our help by contacting us by leaving us a message in WhatsApp in this number +91 98946 71743. Om Shanti. Thanks again for watching.